Your vote, your future. This is Election 25.
Tonight, we'll bring you live results of local races and issues, plus a breakdown of what several renewal levies mean for you.
And a one-on-one conversation with Ashland's mayor. What Mayor Matt Miller says he's most proud of during his time in office.
Good evening. Election 25 is brought to you by the Ashland University Journalism and Digital Media Department. I'm Daisha Lene.
And I'm Miles Irvin. Thanks for tuning in. We are reporting live from the AUTV studio as well as WRDL's newsroom. Students Brett Alberts, Louis Tamura, and Evan Corin are standing by.
And student reporters Micaiah Francis and Aubrey Wood are live from the Journalism and Digital Media Converge newsroom. We'll be checking in with them throughout the hour as part of our Election 25 coverage.
Now to a top issue on the ballot. With all of the precincts in, Ashland City residents have approved to renew a 0.25% income tax levy.
It would generate revenue for police and fire departments. The levy will provide $1.2 million to each agency. It will help employ additional staff and provide necessary equipment. 76% voted to approve the issue. 24% voted against it. The levy will last for 5 years effective January 1st of 2027.
Ashland residents also approved a municipal income tax renewal for the purpose of street repair and resurfacing. A 0.25% renewal will be placed on the income tax pertaining to these repairs. 75% voted to approve the issue, 25% is against it. This will go into effect on January 1st, 2027 and will last for 5 years.
The Ashland County Park District pushed to renew a levy on this year's ballot. I sat down with Director Eric Schneider to discuss how the levy would further support the Ashland County Park District.
Parks are essential for communities to thrive.
The Ashland County Park District is hoping to expand its educational programs and improve park maintenance through a renewal levy on the ballot.
We're really just looking to further expand and protect what we've already built for the community.
The proposed levy would generate about $1.3 million each year. That's an increase of roughly $500,000 more compared to the current levy. Ashland County Park District Director Eric Schneider says parks help foster a sense of community.
Well, I think it's important too that parks, attract families to communities.
The funds would go towards several opportunities within the Ashland County Park District.
Looking at expanding our current park programs. Right now we have one individual who is responsible for all of our programming. And with the demand that we've seen with our current, for our field trips, our monthly programs that we put on, we're looking to expand on that, maybe give her a little bit more help. We're also looking at improving maintenance.
Schneider finds this is important due to the growing park visitation. He says that from 2020 to 2024, the park saw a 64% increase in visitation, bringing in 250,000 visits.
As everybody saw during COVID in 2020, with everything being shut down, the only outlet for people was parks. And that was one thing that Governor DeWine, mentioned when he closed down the gyms and other, places to exercise. He said, go to your public parks. And, we are essential for the community's well-being.
The Ashland County Park District consists of 18 parks. 53% voted to approve the issue. 47% is against it. The funds will go towards managing all 18 parks in the Ashland area.
Mayor Matt Miller is running unopposed for the office of Ashland Mayor. I sat down with him ahead of election night. Here's what he had to say about his greatest accomplishment in office. You've been a part of Ashland for such a long time, like you just said. What are you most proud of accomplishing in the city since you've been mayor?
I guess two things come to mind, and they're both of a very different nature. If I am honest with you, the thing that has changed in Ashland that to me is the most important is our own attitude about who we are as a community. I remember, because I've been here all my life, it wasn't that long ago that whenever you were out and about talking about something going on in the city, people would bemoan the fact, well, you know, Ashland used to be wonderful and we used to have all this and now we don't have anything. Or you would often hear the comments, we need to be more like this city, we need to be more like that city. And then my least favorite was the one, well, you know, it is only Ashland. And you know, our attitude and our perception and understanding of who we are has changed dramatically. Now you don't hear comments of that nature at all. In fact, more often than not, you hear people celebrating the fact that this is their hometown, or I love it in Ashland, or my family loves to come visit Ashland, or we want to move back to Ashland, or I love our little community, and so on. And so I would say that's probably the best change of all, is our attitude has changed. And naturally, when you have a more positive and optimistic attitude, you start taking more positive and optimistic and constructive and creative actions, and that only leads to a better situation for us all. Now, that's one change that I think is of great value and very glad that I got to be a part of. But the other one that's a more tangible project that you can go see and go visit is the Pump House District. When I came into office, the Pump House District would have been cited as probably the worst case of blight in our community. A dilapidated, half-demolished, burned-out manufacturing facility piled like a military bomb site in the middle of our city had sat there for 2 or more decades. And the fact that we have been able in less than 10 years to get that completely cleaned up, get it cleaned up environmentally so that it could be repurposed, and now we have more than $75 million worth of outside money being invested to turn that area that was once the biggest eyesore, the biggest public nuisance, the biggest public safety hazard in our community. Now we're going to see it become one of the most vibrant parts of our city. That is a wonderful success. And of course, the hotel isn't there just yet, and the apartments aren't built just yet, but it certainly appears as though things are moving in that direction. And that will be the best example of all of the transformation that has happened in the city of Ashland.
Miller has served as the mayor of Ashland since 2018 when he was sworn in as the city's 54th mayor.
Still to come on Election 25, the red and the blue. Hear the mission of the college Republicans and Democrats on AU's campus. Election 25 will be right back.
Hello, I'm Michaela Weimer, and today I'm sitting down with the director of Ashland University's Political Economy program, Dr. Robert Wiley. Thanks for joining us today. What are some key economic issues shaping this election?
Thanks for having me. So, as far as I know, we're having a local election. We're going to elect here in Ashland County, we'll elect our mayor, the mayor of the city of Ashland. We'll elect local school boards, including the Ashland School Board. And that might sound smaller than a statewide election or an election for federal officials. But when you think about it, in Ohio, we have about 60,000 federal workers live in Ohio and about 50,000 state workers. But there are 700,000 people that work for local governments. And most of those, a little over half, are teachers who work for education. So for people like that, this is a really important election. And it's worth reflecting on just how important, both to our local economy and to, of course, the national economy, all this local government is. So I think that's one issue.
Awesome. And how do major political parties differ in economic platforms or policies?
Yeah, that's a good question. Typically, we think of the Republican Party as a party of small government, but we also might think of them as the party of more local government that wants to shift, say, lay off federal workers, have fewer federal programs, but shift the burden to the states and local communities. Right now, the size of local government in the past 20 years all across the United States has tripled. So there are way more workers working in schools. There are way more workers working for local government in general. And here in Ashland County, there's a proposal to raise the mill rate, one mill. So that means for every $1,000 that your property taxes are assessed, if you live in a $250,000 house, that's $250 of tax in a year. So the proposal is to raise the mill rate, 1 mill, for 10 years for alcohol, drugs and sort of addiction programs here in Ashland. How do the parties differ? Here in Ashland, our school boards are nonpartisan, so you might elect someone for school board but not know what party they're part of. Our mayor is a Republican, but he's running uncontested. And I think this is just less partisan, because even if you are a very small government kind of conservative Republican, you might think that local government needs to be more robust and step in where the state and federal government really don't belong. So these are more local issues and I think less partisan in general.
Awesome. And what role do you think global economic trends like inflation or energy prices play in voter behavior this year?
Right. So I think they would be top of mind if we were electing state representatives. They'd be top of mind if we were electing congresspersons, congressional representatives. They'd be top of mind if we were in a presidential election. I think still persistently high inflation. We can see things are happening in federal politics with the Federal Reserve, for example. But those are calculated, I think, the president would like to lower interest rates. I think that's calculated to go into effect to try to stimulate the economy for next November. So right now, even though things like grocery prices or inflation are hurting people and are top of mind, there's really no one to elect on the ballot this year for redress, right? That's just not something that your local school board is going to handle. That's not something that a local mayor is going to be able to do anything about. Much as we'd like, more development and options, and maybe more grocery stores in Ashland would help that problem, which the mayor and the city council can, of course, do something about. But perhaps they're not the kind of politicians that those big global or national issues, are really driving voters to do. And one indication of that is we have a mayor that's running unopposed. Because in local politics, it's about being an energetic booster for your community. Local politics is where people really work hard, and voters reward hard work from people they know more than this sort of partisan politics that we expect on a state and federal level.
And in your view, is this election more about economic performance or social and cultural issues?
Depends what you think about, for example, this local issue about mental health problems and drug addiction, the opioid crisis, and so on. That's, of course, an economic issue. And at the federal level, that's going to be about controlling the border. Where's the fentanyl coming from? These boats in Venezuela, the use of National Guard forces and the use of the military for law enforcement operations. So definitely it's an economic issue as well as a social issue, right? The problem of but what the local government, I think, would be doing about that is sort of more on the level of, do we have adequate resources in our community to deal with that? The tax burden that local communities in Ohio impose upon people that live in the cities of Ohio is significant. And a mill rate, again, of $250 a year might be a lot if you're on a fixed income in the city of Ashland, for example, if you have a $250,000 house. So they're significant, and we have to think about the real increase of the number of people working for local government, and that local government is increasing the number of services. And although it's not as much of a partisan issue, I think people are of two minds about that, and we'll see if voters in the county or in the city of Ashland approve this mill rate increase proposal.
And how might the outcome of this election affect students and the younger generation?
I think if you are if you're an education student, that's the most important thing, because the students here at Ashland that will go on to be some 380,000 of the 700,000 people in Ohio work for local governments, and of them about 380,000 people are teachers. Local government employees are teachers. So teachers are the largest group of local government employees, or school administrators, speech pathology, all the sort of apparatus of people that work in the public schools. And for them, the school board's really important. So I think especially those students should be especially keyed into what are school districts doing, what kind of communities are providing more resources for schools, which want to cut back those resources, et cetera. So it's for those students that I think that it's the most important question. For the rest of us, some of these issues are, the local issues are a little less important, especially if you're a student that doesn't intend to live in Ashland after your time here at Ashland University anyway.
And what do you think students should be paying attention to this election that they might be overlooking?
I think just the importance of local government in general. I think it's really easy to overlook the importance of local government. And I think here in Ashland, we actually have a community where we can see that the energetic efforts of a local government to promote a town, to promote events, to revitalize a downtown. For example, recently I believe they discovered a new well in town that will produce more water than all of the other 9 wells I think that we have. You know, the fact that Ashland is aggressive at getting state grants for the roads and so on, you really see the impact of local government. And you might it's easier to see in a town of 20,000 than in a huge city that has a ton of resources and gridlock and different factions. So I think one thing students should think about while they're here and what they see around town in Ashland, but also take that lesson wherever they go, is what you can do by getting involved in local politics, which is just so different than national partisan, you know, the usual politics on social media, the culture war politics, you're on this side, you're on that side, there's rancor. But the hard work of local politics is really important, and I think you can see success stories here in Ashland that show us a side of politics we don't think about as much, but which is really important.
Dr. Wiley, thank you for taking time to talk with me today.
Thanks for having me.
Our Election 25 coverage continues right here on AUTV.
Welcome back to the WRDL Newsroom. I'm Evan Corin, joined here by Louis Tamira and Brett Alberts. We just got to hear a little snapshot from Dr. Robert Wiley, the Political Economy Director here at Ashland University.
Yeah, he definitely made some, great points about, but just like some of the numbers that he was talking about really stood out to me. 60,000 federal workers and 50,000 state workers all being laid off and out of work, which is pretty big numbers in my opinion.
Absolutely.
And then he had 700,000 local workers, over half of the teachers laid off due to the budget cuts and the current government shutdown.
Yeah, and then he went into talks about some of the students here, especially in the education programs and the education majors like yourself, Evan.
Right.
And I'll let you speak on that in a minute. But, he definitely spoke to how, their future is definitely at stake and they need to be paying attention to these elections and specific going forward with the future. And Evan, could you just give us a little hindsight or look into
for sure.
With 700,000 employees being laid off and half of those being teachers is very important for myself as well as the other education majors, especially at AU, right now to really look and see how this is going to affect all your districts. Say you're a student teacher. I'm going into student teaching next year, and I'm really looking and seeing if this is actually going to negatively affect any aspect of the students' lives or my life myself.
Well, obviously, like being a student teacher, I mean, that's like your future there. And, that's obviously really important to you in like education too with teachers. And if that's, like I said, over half are being laid off, so that's definitely something that needs to be taken into account.
Absolutely.
But then looking at the positives, of course, he did mention that we should look at this local government, not necessarily for the downsides of the teaching, but then also the growth. Because there is growth, lots more school districts are growing, building new schools, and especially, you got to be aggressive in growing your city. That was a main point that he made as well. And, some of the things that he brought up that could potentially help that growth is raising the tax on things like addiction programs and just trying to fund some money where there may be some negatives.
Right. So there's absolutely some great upsides to that. And I'm excited to see how Dr. Wiley reacts to some of this as I'm in some of his classes as well. But I'm excited to see also where the education program goes with this. Of course, we're constantly updating election results here on Election 25. Now let's take a live look into the journalism and digital media Converge newsroom, and we'll check in with some of the student workers there working for the Collegian next.
Welcome back. This election night, we are reminded of how student government plays a major role here on campus.
The college Republicans and college Democrats offer opportunities for students to get involved. AUTV's Brett Alberts spoke with representatives from both parties.
The war on drugs, the war on crime.
Politics and crime are some of the key issues the college Democrats discuss on campus. Junior David Noble is the vice president of the Ashland University College Democrats.
Earlier this month, we had a talk with Professor Rosenberger on sociology and the effects that the fear of crime has on society as a whole. So we wanted to give professors, lecturers, and other people voices that may or may not be commonly held within the county.
Guest lectures like the meeting with Dr. Rosenberger allows students to gain a better understanding of the studies, focusing on the relationship between media consumption, public opinion of crime, and criminal behavior. In the meantime, the college Republicans are led by senior Evie Pryor, and she explains their beliefs.
Some of our core values that we have are life, liberty, conservatism, as well as limited government and family and education. Some things we do on campus here, we have a lot of volunteer opportunities, we do a lot of networking things with some of like big people in the party in Ohio as well as throughout the country.
In recent years, some may think a political divide is evident where you have to choose a side, but that's not the case here on campus.
We don't try to force and say, hey, the Republicans are doing this, Democrats aren't. It's honestly just to give back to the community because that's something that we value.
Both groups want to make sure that everyone's voice is heard.
Here in Ashland County, it's a majority red county. So for us, it's more of like a minority voice, and it's to help hear our stances on certain issues.
Brett Alberts, AUTV.
AU's College Republicans meet on Thursdays at 8 p.m. in Shar. The College Democrats have a tabling event this Thursday at 11 a.m. until 1 p.m.
And both of these parties plan to hold their yearly cornhole tournament next month. Next, we'll take a behind-the-scenes look.
Let's head back over to our Journalism and Digital Media Converged newsroom to get an update on our social media coverage tonight.
Hello, I'm here with Bryce Gatton, our lead digital media content creator of the night. So now that we're about halfway done with this live show, could you tell me about how the content's been going that you've been posting?
Yeah, it's been super good. Everybody's working super hard, Everybody's kind of running around doing their own thing, and it's gone really well. It's been very fun to kind of oversee all this and see kind of everybody working together as a team. We have so many people working together, and a lot of freshmen that I have that I'm working with as well, and it's just been super cool to see them kind of come together and work on this type of stuff.
And with about a half hour left, do you have any more ideas that you're planning on posting?
Yeah, I got two of my guys that have been helping me with AUTV and WRDO. They have kind of like a thank you message that they are currently going around and doing. They drew it all out for me on a whiteboard and showed it to me, so it's been fun to see those two work together and everything. But we have a few more things coming out, a couple more interviews from our digital anchors, Madison Farrell and Michaela Weimer, as those are just wrapping up editing over in the Mac Lab right now. So we've got quite a few things still to come on social medias.
And again, where can people find this content that you're posting?
So mostly Instagram is where everything's been going. AUTV Ashland and 889_WRDL are the two Instagram pages you can find it on. We've also done some stuff on Facebook and X as well. So trying to hit as many platforms as we can to make sure we reach a wide range of our audience.
Thank you, Bryce. Our social media is buzzing with content as our show continues. With that, I'll send it back to Daisha and Miles on the desk.
Thanks, Micaiah. Up next, our Election 25 coverage continues. We are across all three of our mediums, including AUTV, 88.9 WRDL, and the Collegian.
And be sure to follow our social media channels at AUTV Ashland for updates. We'll be right back. Good evening. Election 25 is brought to you by the Ashland University Journalism and Digital Media Department. I'm Miles Irvin.
And I'm Daisha Lene. Thanks for tuning in. We are reporting live from the AUTV studio, as well as WRDL's newsroom. Students Brett Albert, Louis Tamira, and Evan Korn are standing by.
And student reporters Micaiah Francis and Aubrey Wood are live from the Journalism and Digital Media Converged newsroom. We will be checking in with them as part of our Election 25 coverage. Now looking at a big issue on the ballot as all of the precincts are in. Local residents have voted to approve the proposed Ashland City school tax levy renewal.
The district will receive general permanence improvements. 69% voted to approve the issue. 31% voted against it. The 9.9 mills levy is a renewal, which means it will not involve any additional taxation. There were 4 candidates bidding for a seat on the Ashland City School Board. Here's a look at the numbers for a spot on the Board of Education. Incumbents Gina Deppert received 27% of the votes. Pamela Mowry received 26%, and John Teven received 26%. Newcomer Noah Ganji received 21%. Richard A. Brindley is also running unopposed for an unexpired term.
Voters decided on a proposed tax levy for the Ashland County's Mental Health and Recovery Board. This is a replacement levy to provide mental health, alcohol and drug treatment, and prevention programs within the county. The levy will replace a 5-year tax with a 10-year 1 mil levy that was originally passed back in 2001. Here's a look at the numbers. 60% voted to approve the issue, 40% voted against it. On this election night, a big congratulations goes out to one of our own journalism and digital media students.
Sophomore John Keim has been voted as one of Montgomery Township's trustees. Let's head to the WRDL newsroom, where we join Evan Corin.
Thanks, Daisha. Yes, I'm here with the one and only John Keim. Congratulations from all of us at JDM as well as Ashland University. I can say a personal congratulations to yourself as well.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So for those of you who don't know, John Keim has just won the seat for trustee of Montgomery Township. Wonderful achievement. Of course, you being only 20 years old, that's making history in Ohio, history overall.
Well, thank you so much. One of the things when I entered this race, one of the things I was thinking of was the young people. When I started, I was like, there's so many young people around the state. And with this race for this past 7 months, I've been thinking, how can I get involved? And I'm hoping that tonight shows to the young folks that, hey, you can get involved as well. It is not impossible for young people to get involved. And I encourage young people to look to see how they can get involved with their city government, township government, or state government.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, I know you've been working really, really hard on the campaign trail. Can you tell us a little bit about the path you took to get to this position?
Yeah, so it took an extensive amount of work, I will say that much. For the past 7 months, I put out a lot of yard signs, including a lot of door knocking, just sitting in homes with folks and talking to them, seeing what their concerns are. And one of them being talking and just being there. I think that's one of the things that people were really wanting, and I think that's what we've achieved. So.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, we talked a little bit about it on 88.9 WRDL, the Early Bird's Word, our morning show together, which is wonderful. But what really got you to go out there and work for this role as township trustee?
Well, I'll tell you the very truth. I think people are starting to see the importance of local government. And I saw going to those meetings every Wednesday night, just seeing the importance of me getting involved for the next generation. Our generation is next. How can we get things prepared for our generation to move the next homeowners and being able to prepare us, but also being able to maintain the township now and being able to just, have a great place to live for everybody.
So for those of you who don't know, and for those listening and watching who don't know, what does the role of township trustee actually entail? What's your role in that?
So there's a few things that we have to do, quite a few things, including doing a lot of road repairs, being able to make sure, maintain that, have the crews out there being able to do a lot of snow plowing and stuff like that. The gritty
Very
work
important,
that people don't usually think about, but that's something that trustees do. But then also additionally just listening to folks and listening to citizens. One thing that I always say to residents who don't necessarily know what a trustee does is I say it's the city council of the country.
Right.
And so anything that a city council does, we do as well. So we deal with noise complaints, we deal with everything else. And so that's who we are.
Absolutely. So can you tell us a little bit about the meetings? I know you touched on a little bit, but the meetings themselves.
Yes, so it happens every other Wednesday night, so first and third Wednesday of the month, and so I'll be inaugurated on January, and so starting January, I'm going to be in there as, the youngest elected official as far as now in the state of Ohio, and so I'm looking forward to that, but it'll happens first and third Wednesday of the each month, and we talk about different issues that are happening, including zoning stuff, including like noise ordinances and stuff like that, and so I'm looking forward to it, being able to serve the community of Montgomery Township.
I'm very excited to see it as well. I mean, you have so much going on right now. You're an RA as well here on AU's campus, township trustee. You've got a lot of stuff going. A great family, may I say?
Thanks.
But how do you manage that time? That's very important. How do you manage that?
Well, I'll tell you the very truth. Sometimes it takes an ambitious person, and I know there's a lot of ambitious people here in Ashland University because this is a great university, and it gives me the ability to be able to achieve things that I'm looking forward to.
Right.
And I'm just time blocking those periods to be able to say like, hey, I want to do this. I want to get involved with this, and I'm able to do that here. And thankfully, I have the time for everything when it comes to township trustee responsibilities, RA responsibilities, and have a little time to spend with family and friends. So
well, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Now, we don't have that much time left over, but John, I wanted to say absolutely congratulations, and I'm very excited to see what you do with your role as Montgomery Township trustee. Now, to give it back a little bit to our news desk, we have a package on Melanie Miller, who you know very well.
Yes.
So I'm very excited to see what she has to offer.
A big congratulations once again to John Keim.
Still to come on Election 25, a sit-down with State Representative Melanie Miller.
What she says is the biggest concern among residents and what she's encouraging Ohioans to do.
Our election coverage continues. You can also tune in to our award-winning student-run radio station, 88.9 WRDL FM, to listen to our show.
Hello, I'm Louis Tamira, and I'm here with a member of the Ohio House of Representatives, Melanie Miller. Melanie, thank you for being here.
Thank you for the invitation.
You represent the 67th House District, which includes all of Ashland County and the western portion of Medina County. What are you currently working on for residents?
Well, thank you for having me on the program, Louis, and I'm so excited to talk a little bit more about the importance of a state representative and the upcoming election. But one of probably the number one things right now probably all Ohioans have on their mind is the property tax spikes. So one of the things that it goes without saying, there's potentially going to be a citizen ballot initiative on the 2026 ballot to abolish property taxes. So I'm not sure where people feel about that, but I don't know if people are aware, but our property taxes not only fund our schools, but it also funds our city services, safety services, and so much more. But property taxes have gotten way out of control, and so the legislature is prioritizing serious reform here before the end of the year so that our taxpayers who own properties are able to get some sort of relief. Well, the hardest thing is, though, it's not a one-size-fits-all because Ohio is so unique. And so there'll be a lot of different approaches, a lot of different bills that will help different portions. One of the things that we did most recently is in our operating budget, the governor line item vetoed a particular item. The legislature came back and overrode the governor, and that is to have transparency when it comes to putting items on the ballot. A lot of times our voters are confused when it comes to a levy, whether it's a renewal or a replacement levy, and for emergency levies. So we were able to create some transparency right away with vetoing that. And then just a couple weeks ago, the House just passed two additional bills that would establish the County Budget Commission, so there's more oversight locally of those property increases, as well as helping. We have over 600 school districts in the state of Ohio.
Wow.
And so one of the bills that we just passed would impact 1/3 of our schools. Unfortunately, Ashland and Medina County is not in that. We will be coming up soon for the evaluation again, but at least we're able to help the first third set of schools and those in those school districts with some reform right away.
That's awesome. What are some of the challenges that come along with the job?
Well, I'd say probably the biggest challenge is there are 99 members of the House, and so to try to get everybody to agree on something can be quite a challenge at times. The other thing is that things take time. I think the hardest thing is, you know, when you're representing constituents, people want quick fixes to things, and government takes time to do things. Not always the most efficient as well. The most efficient is the government closest to the people, quite honestly. So I'd say that can be a frustration is the time. I would say, and just not having enough time. I think as a legislator, I love people. I got into being a state representative because I love service. This was my first time serving as state representative in my second term. I love people, so I want to be as many places as I can be, and there's just not enough time and hours in the day.
Unfortunately.
And so that can be a challenge because I want to be there for everybody.
Yeah, that's awesome. And now focusing specifically on Ashland as the city, explain what this community means to you.
Oh, I love Ashland. Who doesn't want to live in the world headquarters of the nice people? And for those of the people that are watching, you're probably familiar with Mayor Miller. You probably haven't talked with me as much, but so I am actually married to the mayor of Ashland. So I am the first lady of Ashland and wear other hats as well. But Ashland is a wonderful community. We have such a beautiful spirit about our community. I think one of the things that makes Ashland special is we're a very strong faith-based community. We have, and just in the city alone, we have over 40 churches and over 100 churches in the county. So I would say it goes without saying we have that strong underlying, conservative Christian values that is why people are drawn to our community. But who doesn't want to be in one of the most magical places in the community at Christmas time? So
Absolutely.
Ashland being a Guinness World Record title holder, the only city in the world to hold such a title. So Ashland is a magical place, and we're definitely on the rise. And I think one of the neatest things is Ashland University and the city, when each of us are being successful, the other one is successful. And I love the partnership that's even happening with the university and the city, so Lewis, you and your friends and peers feel welcome and feel like they are part of our community as well when they're here on campus.
Awesome. And we've talked about how you love the city in itself. What do you hope us to accomplish for the city?
Well, for the city directly, we've been able to do, on the state level, we've been able to bring some funding from the operating budget and capital budget back to our community. That's probably one of my proudest things, is where I think people locally can really see the impact. Quite honestly, Ashland University, I was able to secure $935,000 for the veterans program here at Ashland University for this operating budget, which is exciting. And then also Ashbrook will also receive some funding for their American history and training teachers in the state on our founding documents. But some other things that we've been able to do for Ashland are maybe not some of the most glamorous, but they're beautification projects in the city. So providing funding for a sidewalk, which is really important for people who are trying to, get to the grocery store or go shopping, that they're able to travel on a safe area. So we were able to get some funding for a sidewalk out at 250 by Walmart, where there's not a sidewalk stretch and there's more housing being developed there. I would say another item recently we were able to provide through our capital budget last General Assembly was to provide some equipment. I can't remember how much offhand. I think it was about $25,000 for people with hearing impairments and disabilities, so they can also enjoy entertainment at our local Ashland Theater, which is one of our historic theaters, which is a wonderful addition to be able to preserve. And there is one more I'm thinking of most recently. We will be building in the city of Ashland, thanks to our capital dollars, a fire training center. It'll be hosted in the city of Ashland, but it'll be for all of the county, where all of our first responders are able to go and practice those best practices when there's an emergency. And I forgot to mention, ag is the #1 industry in the state of Ohio, and as you probably see, Ashland County Fair is a big deal here in the city. And they're working on building a new event center and renovating the Moselle Hall area, which is used year-round for the community and for 4-H students. And so we were able to, as part of their capital project, secure over $1.1 million from the state to kind of give them that seed money to start that process and build that momentum. So there's a lot we're able to do in the state. A lot of it can be dollars that transform those community projects.
That's awesome. It's great to hear the growth of Ashland as a whole, becoming just this great city that, fits right between Cleveland and Columbus. So,
absolutely.
Now this general election, local voters will decide on a variety of different issues, including school levies and electing school board and city council members. What's your message to the voters out there?
Make sure you're registered to vote. Make sure you're registered to vote. The way I look at it is, we have the privilege to be able to vote. Once you turn a certain age and you're registered, take advantage of that. I wish more people would take advantage of that right that we do have as citizens. So make sure you vote. I think less than a fourth of our people actually take a part of the democratic process. So what I would encourage you to do, it's super easy. You can vote early. Early voting has already begun. You can do that at wherever you're registered, at your local board of elections. You can do that during business hours. If you're not sure of the times, you can go to the Secretary of State's website and take a look at your board of elections, and the hours should be posted. You can also vote by absentee. So this is a really great thing for college students too. If you're maybe away from home, but you're registered out of state, whatever that might look like, you can apply for your absentee ballot, fill that out, you can mail that in, or if you forget to mail it in, you can always take it in person on election day, or you can take it to your board of elections ahead of time. And if you're one of those people that like to vote the day of, make sure you contact your board of elections so you know where your polling location is. Usually those are opened extended hours until 7:30 at night. So there's a lot of opportunities now until Election Day, which is the first Tuesday in November, to cast your vote. And I would encourage people to do their homework, to research the candidates, not to just look at one source of information, but to look at a variety of different sources. Ask questions of the candidates so you can make the best informed decision about who you're voting for.
Absolutely. And then lastly, what do you want Ohioans to know about your position and your platforms?
That's a great question. Well, as a state representative, I'm part of the legislative branch, so we are lawmakers. So what I would encourage anyone watching or thinking about what can my state representative do? Well, we impact the laws in the state of Ohio. We have the revised code, which sometimes needs up to date. So if you have ideas for a bill or a policy idea, I would love to hear what's on your mind. If you're having a challenge, you need help with a state agency, these are ways that we can help with different liaisons in those departments. I also want to encourage people, if you've never been to the People's House, to the State House, come for a visit. I would love to host you for a tour. I'd love to bring some students from Ashland University. Every year there's always a group that comes, but I would love to bring some more students, give you a tour, take you onto the floor so you can experience that firsthand and hopefully inspire a next generation of people who want to serve in public office.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking your time and sitting down here for this interview today.
Thank you for having me.
Our Election 25 coverage continues right here on AUTV.
Welcome back to the WRDL Newsroom. I'm Evan Korn, joined here by Brett Alberts and Louis Tamira. We just heard an interview with Representative Melanie Miller, the 77th District Representative here for Ashland County. Louis, you had a great opportunity to interview her. What was that like?
Well, first and foremost, it was just a very honor to be able to, have her come in and just sit down and be able to chat with us. So, Melanie, if, you're watching out there, just want to say a quick thank you for that. But it was a great interview. It was a very uplifting, spirited interview. She's very passionate about this community, obviously being the mayor's wife and Mrs. Ashland, if you will, the first lady of Ashland, like she had mentioned to me. It's definitely, she cares about the people and the 67th district she represents, and that is Ashland and part of Medina County. And that is, she cares about her people. Brett, I think you had a point that you want to cover on that.
No, yeah, I mean, she's always a people's person. She always obviously talking to people. She wants to be in many places that she came. But one of the things that stood out to me and the things that she's doing is she has secured funding of $935,000 for the veteran program and the Ashbrook Center as well. And then also for that sidewalk that she got for that place on a US 250, I believe, by Walmart, along with a new training center for firefighters coming soon to Ashland.
Right. She's working very, very hard for the Ashland community as well as the lower Medina area. And I know she's pushing very hard in the House as well as in the Senate. Right now, she's also pushing for, like we said with Mayor Matt Miller, with property taxes as well, with House Bill 309, which is has already passed the House but is in the Senate currently. So she's hoping to actually forward that.
And right now, that's definitely been a topic that we've talked about here a lot tonight. Some people want to just completely abolish that property tax. And, it's definitely understandable. You don't want to pay money on the land that's yours. But of course, those taxes do go towards some valuable things. So that argument has been whether to abolish it or, like Melanie was talking about, just bringing it down. But regardless of what side you support or what side you follow, it's definitely been too high.
Absolutely, yeah. She's definitely pushed very hard for the opinions of Ashlanders as well as all of her constituents in general. And I know she's very hard into actually seeing the opportunities for Ashlanders to better their community as well. So, yeah, anything to add to that?
She's just a really, obviously a great person. Obviously, as you mentioned with those taxes, I was like, the more money those taxes bring, obviously there's a lot that you have to pay, but it does pay for, as you mentioned, like the school, education is a big important thing to her.
Right. Well, that's all the time we have for now. Of course, our Election 25 coverage is not finished at all. Stay with us, and we'll hear from the Collegian's managing editor next.
Now it's time to check in with Ashland University's award-winning student-run newspaper, The Collegian.
News editor Aubrey Wood gives us insight about what's going on in the journalism and digital media converged newsroom.
Hello, I'm back in the JDM newsroom with Donna Krukowska, the managing editor of The Collegian. How have you been balancing all of your responsibilities tonight?
I am able to balance my responsibilities because I'm not working here alone. I have a great team helping me do all the work. They help me with socials, they help me with writing stories, they help me edit videos. So it's not just my job. They're doing their job really well. They're all great, amazing, wonderful reporters.
And what has been your favorite part of this experience so far?
Probably working in this great environment and being able to collaborate with other people.
Okay, thank you, Donna. You can read our stories on ashland-collegian.com. Back to Miles and Daisha in the AUTV studio.
That does it for our live coverage tonight here for Election 25. We would like to send a huge thank you to both the faculty and all the students that made this production possible.
It has been a great night discussing important topics regarding the future leaders and policies of our county. We would also like to send out a thank you to our viewers for sticking with us throughout this evening. I'm Daisha Lene.
And I'm Miles Irvin. Thanks for watching.